All right, we good. What's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever, wherever, however you're watching this episode of the War Top Podcast. It's getting really late into the season. Before I say anything else, I'm gonna give y'all the verse of the day, and that is Psalm 34, verse 17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all of their trouble. Just be sure that no matter what you're doing, you crying out to God, uh, asking for forgiveness for Savior. Um, just know that all sin is forgiven through Christ, and you are not unsavable, no matter what you have done in this walk of life on this earth. Your soul can be saved. So don't ever think that it can't be. But with that being said, Auburn's coming off a bye week, so I guess we're gonna get straight into the Alabama side. Obviously, um, an unfortunate game for the Bama fans out there. So I'm gonna let you get it get us started with that game.
Yeah. Very simple. 3 turnovers to 0. Um, one missed kick to no missed kicks, and that's the difference in the game. Um, those two factors. That's it. Um, Other than that, the two teams both pretty well matched. Oklahoma's a good football team. Um, you're just not going to beat a team turning the ball over 3 times if you don't force turnovers, and you're just not going to beat a team if they can make every field goal they kick because their kicker is fantastic. If we can't even make one, so it's as simple as that. When you turn the ball over 3 times and miss a kick, you don't deserve to win, and Alabama didn't deserve to win, so they didn't. They didn't win. Um, I don't know. Ty still just a little off. He's been off the past couple of weeks. I think it's a confidence thing. At the beginning of the season, after the Florida State game, he kind of almost carried himself with a little bit more energy and confidence. And man, he was almost reckless. He was just slinging the ball, but he was doing it with confidence. So it looked really good. He's completing passes. It seems like he kind of bought in to the whole protecting the football, making good decisions, making good reads, and it's almost making him second guess himself. Like he almost feels like he has to live up to that. So he's second guessing himself, and when he does that, I think it's just making him the little. He's not missing balls by a lot. He doesn't miss very many by 5 yards. It's always just off the fingertips, and he had quite a few of those. I'm not gonna blame Ty Simpson for the loss. Alabama should have won anyway. He's got to do better when he's dropped back in the pocket, knowing when to step up and when to know that somebody's probably coming behind him to swipe the ball out. Because we had a turnover like that. Um, Other than that, I mean, Todd played well. The receivers played well. Couple bad fumbles. Obviously, that one bad interception by Ty. But that makes all the difference. It came down to like 3 or 4 plays can be the difference between, if you win that game, you're pretty much a lock for the playoffs to now you got a tougher path to the playoff. You have to go beat Auburn at home. And then, I know we'll talk about it later, but then you got to go at least be competitive in the SEC championship game, if nothing else. So the path gets harder. But that's that's how it falls sometimes, and 3 plays can make all the difference. I am hopeful, however, because a lot of something a lot of people aren't talking about, which I don't know why, because it's like the past 8 weeks didn't happen. After the loss to Florida State, everybody was, oh man, Alabama, they're gonna lose at least 3, probably 4, 5, 6 games. And look what happened. They went on the best 8 game win streak out of anybody else the whole season. Nobody else played a tougher 8 game schedule than Alabama, and they went undefeated up until they played Oklahoma, that ninth game. So the last time we saw Alabama taste their own blood, they went demon mode and just wiped through half the SEC. So I don't know why people are acting like it's not a possibility now that Alabama's tasted their own blood again, just to go right back to demon mode and go kill Eastern Illinois, go handle Auburn on the road, go win the SEC championship, and keep building momentum. That's very possible. They just did it. They just did it. So, honestly, you hate to lose because now you're put in a really bad position going into Auburn night game. um, and that's tough. But if maybe that's what Alabama needed. Maybe Alabama got a little too high on themselves. Maybe got a little started to feel a little bit untouchable. Started buying into the hey, they're gonna find a way to win a game even in these close games. And so maybe they needed to lose. Maybe they needed to look at themselves in the mirror and say, we are not unbeatable if we do not play every down like it is extremely important. Because like I said, I think 4 plays is the reason why they lost the Oklahoma game. It can come down to 4 plays. There's like 100 plays in a game, and 4 plays can make all the difference. Um, so in the end, maybe we look at this and say it was a good thing. Maybe last year Ohio State was a 2-loss national champion, so it is absolutely not out of the equation for Alabama to go win a national championship. The path got harder, but hey, taste your own blood, soak it in, get ready, because um, you you're I love what Greg McElroy said. I think he put it perfectly, which is saying something because he never says anything good. He said, "So the good news is, clap it off. You still control your own destiny to get to Atlanta for the SEC title. You control your own destiny to get to the college football playoff, and you just got to go out and do it. Simple. For everybody that's like, saying like, oh, you got to go through Auburn. That's tough. Guess what? In the BCS, you had to go through Auburn too. In the 4-team era, you had to go through Auburn too. It was a must-win game then. It's a must-win game now. It's just what happens when you're Alabama. You're gonna have to beat Auburn if you're gonna want to go play for a national title. So all the moaning, oh now you have to go beat Auburn. Now you have to whatever. It's how it was for years up until the 12-team playoff. So this is nothing Alabama's not used to. And there's been plenty of times Alabama did not make it because they lost to Auburn. But there was plenty of times they went through Auburn and then they went and won a national title. And there was even one time they lost and went and won a national title. That's not going to happen this year. They're going to have to go win this football game outside of some miracle happening in the rest of the country. So I like what he said. Alabama still controls their own destiny. If they want to go win a national title, it is all in front of them. They don't need any help. You go beat Auburn, you go win the SEC title game, you're a lock. You're guaranteed. So as much as we can talk about how bad that loss was, like looking forward, how it makes the path tougher, at the end of the day, Alabama still has just as good of odds to win the national championship as they did before. Just go win every game that's in front of you. Tough loss, but you don't deserve to win when you turn the ball over that many times. Simple as that. And for me, a missed kick counts as a turnover. So I see the game as having 4 turnovers. You miss a chip shot field goal, that's a turnover. So 4 turnovers to none, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, for me I was kind of at a head scratcher on like obviously like there's an obvious answer, but what other than the obvious answers like not turn over the ball and make the field goal, what could Alabama have done? To me, and this isn't saying if they replayed again today that it wouldn't be different. It could very well be different, but to me, it just looked like Oklahoma's defense was better than Alabama's offense through and through, from start to finish. That's just how it looked to me. I've said it multiple times that I think Oklahoma's defense is the best defense in the SEC. Um, Ty Simpson got very comfortable in the pocket, just holding on to the ball way too long. A total of 4 sacks for Oklahoma, 3 turnovers for Bama. Two of those come from Ty Simpson. Um, Not really a whole lot of offense from Oklahoma, like moving the field. A lot of those points came from extra possessions created by that defense, and just putting them in good field goal range. The defense for Alabama played really good, all things considered. They just, you know, like you said, you turn the ball over 3 times, miss a field goal. You can't win a ball game like that. And obviously, it's a 2-sided coin, So no, you can't turn over the ball, but obviously that was Oklahoma's like game plan. You want to force turnovers, so Oklahoma really just executed what they wanted to do defensively. Alabama didn't have a response. You know, I said a few weeks back after South Carolina that Ryan Grubb saved Alabama's season. Um, I think Ryan Grubb this time put Alabama's season in jeopardy. So, you know, Ty Simpson has to be better. A guy that I had as my Heisman favorite for a while. But Ryan Grubb, as a play caller, also has to be better. There was a lot of questionable decisions in that game. Once again, Ty Simpson just getting too comfortable. 4 sacks for that Oklahoma defense. A lot of pressures. I don't have the exact number, but I'm sure it was a lot. One, I guess, highlight you can take from this game is I think now Alabama has a clear running back one in Daniel Hill. How effective will he be for the rest of the year? That is to be determined. But he looked really good on 15 carries in their game. So I think that's one silver lining from the game. Another one is your defense played really good against a fairly solid Oklahoma offense. Then again, that Oklahoma offense has not looked the same since Auburn after John Mateer got hurt. So, you know, like I said in the beginning, outside of the obvious answers like not turn over the ball and make your field goals, what else could Alabama have done to have won the game? I really think Oklahoma defensively just had their way. Ty Simpson got too comfortable. He did against South Carolina. This pressure is coming. The pressure is getting to Ty Simpson, and he needs to be aware of that. This O line, has been built up. We had questions. Me and you both had questions about it at the very beginning of the season. That kind of went away after their gauntlet, and then they went against some top tier pass rushers like South Carolina's Dylan Stewart and Oklahoma's whole defensive roster.
Whole defense.
Of pass rushers, and it's like, well, maybe they are what we thought they were, and they just haven't been tested until now. And that's what I personally think. I just think that they haven't had a test like they had the last few weeks. And now that we see that, it's kind of coming more apparent what you need to do to beat an Alabama team. So will they get that fixed and figured out before the Iron Bowl? They certainly need to, considering, and this isn't like a gloating thing, but considering that Auburn has a very similar defense to Oklahoma, and those pass rushers are elite over there. You can't let that same thing happen if you want to win the Iron Bowl. Ty Simpson has to know that. The offensive line has to know that. Ryan Grubb has to know that. Kalen DeBoer has to know that, and we'll see what happens with that. But once again, I don't want to say so much as Alabama just sucked it up. More of I think that was a really impressive win for Oklahoma, and their defense just looked absolutely dominant that Saturday night. And I don't think in that particular situation, on that day, I don't think Oklahoma was going to walk out of there with a loss. Now, if they replay today, I can't tell you what would happen. But just on that specific day, I felt like Oklahoma wanted it more. They were hungrier. They wanted a chance to survive and keep their playoff conversation alive. And there was just no way they would be denied. And that's what happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma scored 23 points. 17 of it came off of turnovers. So, it was very clear from the very beginning, very early on, that Oklahoma was punching at the football. They punched at the football more Saturday than they have all year. And that's something Alabama normally does a really good job at. And that was probably a point of emphasis. Oklahoma wanted to flip the script. Hey, we're going to punch the football out, and we're going to anticipate them doing it. So let's hold on to the football on our end, and let's try to flip the script on them. And they did exactly that. And that was all the difference. Turnovers. I mean, 17 points off turnovers. I'm not trying to say Oklahoma would have only had 6 points because they would have gotten more offensive possessions, but you're playing a uphill battle if you're giving up 17 points off of turnovers. So Alabama's defense was really good. I have no concerns about that defense whatsoever. However, yeah, the offense. What more could they have done? Taking away the turnovers. You're right when you say Todd Simpson just sits in the pocket too long. I think part of that's play calling. I think we need to like stretch the field horizontally a little bit more because we found out that Ty sitting in the pocket, throwing over the middle of the field is probably one of the best passes in college football. Like Ty Simpson throwing that pass. Um, and so I think we'll really like bought into that. But versus how we were at the beginning of the year versus now, teams have kind of honed in on that. So it's really easy for them just to try to contain the quarterback, keep him in the pocket, and try to get to him. So, at the beginning of the year, like versus Georgia, we tried to stretch things vertically or horizontally a whole lot more to get the defensive line moving, to use we used our running back a lot earlier in the season coming out of the backfield to pass to him. We have not been doing that as much in the past few weeks. We need to go back to doing that. Use our running back. It keeps the defensive line and the linebackers a little bit more honest. If you're able to hit the running back coming out of the backfield a little bit more. Another bright spot you mentioned Daniel Hill. I agree. Daniel Hill needs to play more. But also our tight end Isaiah Cuevas played fantastic. We need to keep utilizing him. If we can utilize our running back out of the backfield, our tight end, and try to stretch the field horizontally, that's going to open things up vertically for Ryan Williams, for Jeremy Bernard, for Isaiah Horton, for Ladzier Brooks. So I think that's important. We need to get to that. Um, Daniel, we if you would have said we lost 23-21, I would have said something along the lines of it's because we couldn't run the football. That wasn't it. We ran the football pretty well, all things considered, which was kind of surprising. Um, but I mean, we didn't run it fantastically, but for Alabama standards this year, like they did pretty good running the football. Um, so that wasn't the issue. Yeah, the issue, Taj just kind of got concrete feet in the pocket, and when you do that, they're able to get home, get some sacks, forced a couple turnovers because of that pressure. Both turnovers, the pick six and the fumble that Ty had, were because of pressure. One got home and the other was about to get home, so he sped up his pass and he missed him. Um, so you know, gotta find a better way to deal with the pressure. And I think one way, get Ty out of the pocket, keep the defense honest. These defensive lines, they're starting to just come straight at us, knowing Ty really doesn't roll out of the pocket as much as he used to, knowing we're not hitting as many screens to our running back as we used to. So I think that's, for starters, something we need to do. Yeah, defensively, no concerns. Offensively, quite a few concerns. But, we basically have 2 weeks to prepare for the Auburn defense. No disrespect to Eastern Illinois at all. Don't skip over them. These are these kind of games that if you don't pay attention to, like every now and then somebody loses a game like this. I don't think Alabama's going to lose this game, but they are going to start looking ahead to Auburn just a little bit. Um, so go ahead, prepare for Auburn. You got 2 weeks. Your season's on the line. Um, yeah. I expect. I treat this as like coming off of a bye week. Kalen DeBoer's really good off of a bye week. So I'm going to treat going into Auburn like coming off of a bye week when it comes to how much time you have to prepare. So I'm looking forward to hopefully a really good game plan coming from Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. We'll talk more about that game next week, maybe later on today. But, you know, I think a really important thing for that game is getting started off early because kind of taking the belief away because that place y'all got down there is super weird. And if you keep the belief, it keeps building and building and building, and that's when terrible things happen. So if you kind of take away the belief early on, then that does a lot for you. So coming out with a good game plan, going and have a really good first drive is incredibly important in the Iron Bowl this year. I really do think so. So you have 2 weeks to get ready for that. Don't completely overlook Eastern Illinois, but have Auburn in the back of your mind because that's your next game, big game. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna complain too much. We haven't really turned the ball over that many times all year. We had like the top five turnover margin in the entire country. We're just probably not gonna do that again too many times. Shout out to Oklahoma, they did a good job forcing them. But we're probably not gonna do that again. If that's what it takes to beat us, by all means, I'll take our odds in most games. Because we're not gonna do that too often.
I do have one question. As a for me, I'll get in more into this when I speak about the Mercer game. I have things to look forward to in the Mercer game. Are you looking forward to anything specifically going against Eastern Illinois? Like, are you looking for them to execute one specific thing? Are you excited to see like maybe a young player, or is there anything you're looking forward to, or you just excited to get to Auburn?
Um, well, no, I think probably going to see some backup quarterbacks, which is always nice, fun to see, like younger guys who probably going to be the future. So there's that. I would like for us to really try to.
Is it good?
We're back. Yeah, we're good now. I think.
Yeah, we're good.
Bet. Okay. Yeah. So getting Ty back confident, letting him just sling the rock, have fun. Um, because we need to get back to that kind of recklessness we played with earlier in the year, where Todd just plays with this sort of moxie to him, where he just feels like nobody can stop him. He can hit every pass he throws. In the past couple games, you kind of saw him hang his head a little bit more, be a little bit more critical of himself. He doesn't need to do that. That's not where he thrives at. He thrives when he's confident, when he's, celebrating, when he's, it's okay to be hard on yourself, but it kind of seemed like throughout the Oklahoma game yesterday, he was just more disappointed in himself, even after he did something good. It's like, no, dude, like you got to be confident. Throw the football with some confidence. Throw it knowing that you're the best quarterback in college football. At least that's what he's got to think. Um, so I guess that's the big thing is I want to see Ty just let it rip, even if it's only for half the game. Let it rip. Get back confident. Get your accuracy back honed in. Try some deep balls. Get confident throwing those. Um, so I would say that's it. And I'm not expecting like play calling to change all that much because one thing I've learned about Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb is if they have a big game the next week, if they don't need to bring out all the tricks, they're not going to. So I imagine the game plan we see versus Eastern Illinois will be way different than what we're going to see versus Auburn, because that's just kind of how Kalen DeBoer does his operation. He's not going to let you get anywhere near thinking like what he's going to do the next week, especially a team like Eastern Illinois. So I don't expect to see a whole lot of crazy stuff. Any Caden Proctor special. No, I don't expect any of that. It's going to be a really simple, straightforward, fundamental football game. Run the ball, throw the ball around the field, play good defense. Halftime, get everybody out, and then let all the young guys play. I do expect a lot of offensive line rotation. They did say that. So that'll be nice to see because our offensive line, like you mentioned, struggled big time. They have in the past couple weeks. So I am looking forward to that too. Getting some new guys on the offensive line, get them some experience, seeing what they can do.
I don't have anything to add on.
I know nothing about Eastern Illinois, so nothing.
Well,
Better not lose. Shoot.
I know I won't be watching that game. I'll be watching.
I don't
my
even
own,
know what time it is.
Be watching my own. I guess with that being said, we can go on to the Auburn side. I did want to talk about Auburn basketball, just because Auburn didn't play last week and they did have a big basketball game. They played in Birmingham against the number one ranked Houston. The final was 73-72. And Stephen Pearl said this post game. He said, "There's no such thing as moral victories. Moral victories are for losers. So don't ask me if I feel good about it, because no, I don't." While yes, I agree, and I'm glad he feels that way. As a fan, I'm partially taking a moral victory. I'm not happy about losing. I texted you and I was obviously frustrated because you always want your team to win. You never want to lose. But I told my wife before this game came on, I said, I don't expect them to win. Let me see what they're going to do against a real opponent. And before I say anything about anything good, you lose by 1 point. You shoot 39% from the field, 32% from three, and you miss 12 free throws. You can't win a basketball game like that. That is number one, especially the 12 free throws. You make 10 of those 12 free throws and you win by almost double digits. It's literally that simple. They're called free throws for a reason. You have to make them. You shoot 64% from the foul line, you're gonna lose. And it's just as simple as that. So no, it's not good that we lost, and yes, it's frustrating that we could have won if we had hit our free throws. But what I'm gonna say is this is the first year head coach. And we have one player returning that plays real minutes in Tahad Pettiford. Everybody else is brand new. And you get the number one team in the nation, Houston, who's coming off of a runner-up national championship run with potentially the best coach in all of college basketball currently in Ralph Sampson. Um, whether you believe that or not, that's up for debate. But they took him to the wire. Um, and what's that saying about fights? Good fight or styles make fights. Um,
Yeah.
this is a matchup I want to see over and over again. Obviously, it was a 1-1. I don't know if they'll ever do it again, but last year I loved it. This year I loved it. I've talked to you about when it comes to football, I like offense. I like watching offense in football. When it comes to basketball, I love those nitty gritty games. Those really hard mouth, punch you in the mouth. We're gonna fight it out. It's gonna get dirty. We're gonna miss a lot of shots. Who's just gonna be the tougher team? I like that kind of basketball. I like defensive. Um, you don't have to make every shot. You don't have to be flashy. I don't care about that. Play physical. I'm not saying play dirty, but throw elbows. Don't be afraid to get a few fouls. I like that style, and both of these teams play that style of basketball, so it's always really fun to watch for me. Um, you know, Tahad hasn't had a good season so far, and he came out in the biggest game of the year, had 15 points on 5 of 14 shooting. He played really big minutes, and the buckets he made really counted. And at the end of the game, when it mattered most, he got the ball. Um, I personally believe he was fouled on the last shot that he took. Refs didn't call it. Cry all you want. It's basketball, and that's okay. Uh, a lot of good things to account for. I really like Keyshawn Hall. Um, I think we froze, so I'm just gonna wait a second. I told you I had been having troubles this week. I think we're good.
Yeah.
But I really like Keyshawn Hall. He's potentially our best player. He got hurt towards the end of the game. At first, initially, I really thought it was an Achilles injury because he went down, instantly was in pain, couldn't get up for a few minutes. Then when he did get up, he didn't move. And then he came back to the free throw line and was in tears. And to me, that just screams Achilles. Especially when they're grabbing right at the back of their ankle. That's just what it screams to me. He walked back out of the locker room on his own. It might just end up being a high ankle sprain. Nothing has been said about that yet, so we'll see what goes on with that. I don't expect him to play until SEC play, most likely. Sebastian Williams Adams, he's a freshman, a really good versatile defender. Kevin Overton, big shot hitter. He shot 2 for 7 this game, but he looked really good. Elijah Freeman, just everywhere on the court. This team it looked really good. And despite the loss to Houston, I felt confident saying that Stephen Pearl's our head coach, and that this is a competitive basketball team. Those were the two questions I had getting ready to watch this game, and they answered them both. And I was really, I don't want to say happy, but I was okay with losing, but getting those answers. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. They answer my questions, and that's really all uh, I wanted or expected from that game. Um, like I said, you're never happy with a loss, but they had a good performance. They showed me what I wanted to see, um, and we'll see how the season goes on. And then,
Yeah. Oh, go
oh,
ahead.
you go ahead.
No, so, look, it was a good game. It is a fun matchup. You don't mind scheduling those games early in the season because it just tells you what you need to work on. If you don't play those games, if you play against teams that you should beat and you do beat, you get to SEC play, you get to tournament play, and you haven't been tested. You haven't figured out where your weaknesses are. That's one thing that Nate Oates talks about. A lot of coaches talk about it, but I just happen to listen to Nate Oates the most as to why we are scheduling St. John's, Purdue, Illinois, Arizona, Gonzaga. Like we're scheduling those teams because they are going to expose what we can do and what we cannot do. And so there's a lot of value in that. You're not going to go undefeated or win the national championship. I can't remember the last time a basketball team did that. So, you know, to talk about Auburn, you don't mind losing that game. You see areas that you're good at, and now you see areas that you could improve on. And I trust Stephen Pearl will make the right adjustments. I hope he doesn't, but he probably will. Just be honest, he's where he is for a reason. Maybe he's not a great head coach, but he's a good basketball coach. He knows basketball, and his staff knows basketball. And the guy who he sits at the dinner table with some nights knows basketball. That's for sure. Um, so Auburn's going to be just fine. They're going to learn from it. At the end of the year, when you get to March, it's not going to matter. That game's not going to matter. What you learn from it will matter a lot more than the win loss. Same thing with Alabama and Purdue. Who cares? You learned what you need to work on. You learn what you could get better at. That's why you play those games. It's one of the reasons why I love basketball so much, college basketball. Because, football, you lose a couple games. Ooh, you're in trouble. Basketball, you lose a couple games. Okay, that's fine. We know what we need to work on. Let's just get better. Because you're going to lose quite a few games throughout a college basketball season. It was fun. It was a fun game. College basketball is a lot of fun. Alabama and Auburn basketball. I still believe Alabama is the best state for basketball right now, college basketball. Between Samford, who's doing really good, UAB, who is also doing really good, and of course Auburn, Alabama. So that's exciting. It's gonna be fun to watch this year. Just all the teams from Alabama, and then Alabama State has a really good basketball team as well. So
I'm gonna make a really bold prediction right here. I'm gonna say something really bold. I'm not saying like this year, next year. Stephen Pearl will bring a national championship to Auburn University.
if you say so.
I'm
It's really hard
you.
to win a national. It's really hard to win a national championship.
His dad got us really close. I have a really good feeling about Stephen Pearl. I think he'll be better than his dad. I really think he will.
Oh, all right.
I'm making
well,
the
so.
very early bold prediction. We can clip it. One day I'll either look like a genius or a clown, and I'm okay with either result.
I'm definitely going to clip it. One thing I will say, did you know that Alabama and Auburn are playing in the same Thanksgiving Day tournament or Thanksgiving tournament? And if they both keep winning, they are on a crash course. If they play, they will play on Iron Bowl Saturday in basketball.
That would be interesting.
So, yeah, there's that. Keep that in your mind. There's a chance of that happening.
I'd rather that not happen.
No, I don't want it. I would rather Alabama lose.
I would rather Auburn lose.
I could not handle that. I'll be honest.
Nah,
That'd just be too much.
It'd be a tough day for both.
The Iron Bowl of football is already big enough. Plus, look, we already know our teams are going to play twice later on this year. Right. We don't need to do it right now.
Get into that basketball season. I think by SEC play, we'll probably be covering basketball pretty consistently at that point. So I don't have a lot to say about Mercer. One thing I'm looking forward to is it was announced today that both Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight will be playing in this game. How that looks, I don't know. It could be a half and a half. It could be Jackson Arnold go out in the first quarter, get us a lead. Deuce Knight carry us the rest of the way. It could be Jackson Arnold's coming in only if need be. I don't necessarily know what that's going to look like. Nothing has been confirmed on who's going to be the actual starter. I think there's pros and cons to both players starting. I don't want to get into all of that. That's more of like a touchy subject for Auburn fans right now. So I'd rather just not even bring it up about the whole future. One thing I will say, the more and more I hear DJ Durkin talk, the more and more I like DJ Durkin, maybe being a potential head coach. He just talks like a winner. Obviously, you can't prove that right now, but just the way he talks, it sounds it's the things you want to hear. It's almost, I don't want to compare him to Saban in any way, shape, or form, but the way he is talking, it sounds Saban-esque, if that makes sense. I'm not comparing him to Saban. I'm not saying he'll be anything like Saban. I just wanted to make it clear that, he's the attention to detail guy. He's not a loser. He wants to win football. And he's made that very clear. And I just like it. Obviously you can talk all you want. You got to put it out on the field. But from the defensive side and everything that I've seen, he has put it on the field. He just has to get it all together. One thing I want to say about his tenure at Maryland, the year before he was the head coach, I think Maryland went 3-9. The very next year, they went, I think, 6-7. They lost their bowl game, and then the very next year, he had two quarterbacks tear their ACLs, and was fired for controversial in practice things. And so I don't hold that second season accountable to him, considering you have two season ending injuries to your quarterback 1 and 2 very early on in the season. I think the first quarterback got injured in week 1, and then the second quarterback got injured in week 3. And so that alters a whole lot, and then you don't have an opportunity to make up for it because of what happened in practice. Whatever your opinion is on that, that's not up for discussion right here, right now. But that happened at Maryland, and since then he hasn't had a head coaching job. And we'll see what happens for the rest of the year. I think if he wins the Iron Bowl, I would personally like to see him win a bowl game first. But John Cohen has made it very clear that they want to have a head coach announced right after the Iron Bowl as soon as possible. So we'll see. And I'm saying if he wins the Iron Bowl, I think DJ Durkin is going to win the job. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what Deuce Knight does in his time against Mercer, whether that be 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, however much he gets. He'll have essentially 2 weeks of a game plan, a whole new offense wrapped around him. I do want to see a little bit of Jackson Arnold, even though it's against Mercer. I want to see him outside of the Hugh Freeze play calling and more in the Derek Nix play calling. I want to see more of this Derek Nix play calling. I want to see if it's versatile. So we'll see. We'll see. And one of the things that I said about DJ Durkin, kind of sounding Saban-esque, he's very focused on Mercer. He made it very clear today that they're not looking past Mercer. They're not going to do that. We're just looking off into Bama, which I'm sure behind the scenes there's some sort of, there are certain people game planning and scouting Bama already. But he made it very clear that the team is not focused on Bama. And that's one of those things I always like to hear. Because it doesn't matter I'm a fan. I can talk about Bama in a few weeks. This team needs to be focused on Mercer. So that's one good thing you like to hear. It's a 1 o'clock
Got some
game.
New Mexico State flashbacks.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Hugh Freeze would not be so
Was
focused
was
on Mercer.
DJ there when that happened? I don't know how
No,
long DJ has been there.
no.
No.
DJ was hired Hugh Freeze's second year on the Plains.
Okay, so last year. Cool. Cool, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
I cannot. I
Yeah.
do not remember who the DC was at that point in time. That was a while back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with a team like Mercer, especially this is going to be the second game with the interim head coach with this new play caller. Like, you definitely need to put a lot more attention to detail into Mercer because you're still trying to fine tune all the little things now that you're kind of getting. Because the first week was really hectic, and that I think that was pretty evident based off how high scoring the Vandy game was defensively. So definitely, like, Mercer's definitely a chance to reel it back in and get more comfortable and learn each other more. So even outside of like a normal game, I would say, yeah, Auburn does need to put a lot of attention to detail in this game, especially when it comes to like communicating and play calling styles and getting to know each other. Because there is still a lot of newness, even though it's all the same people. There's still some newness because there's people in different roles than what they've been all season. So yeah, definitely, like, I would agree. Like, Auburn definitely needs to put more attention into Mercer than they normally might have to. Um, but yes, there is definitely people looking forward to Alabama. But every school has those guys. Like, even before big game, when Alabama played Georgia, there's people on Alabama staff who their whole job was to look past Georgia and go ahead and start looking at Vandy. Every school has those guys where they're always looking ahead to the next week, just to kind of jump the gun. So yes, there are definitely people on the Auburn staff looking ahead to Alabama, just like there are at Alabama, and everywhere else in the country.
I have nothing else on that game.
Either.
Just excited to see Deuce Knight and if that bye week really helped DJ Durkin defensively. That's my only two questions. And we'll see
No,
what
definitely.
happens. So I guess with that being